Hello, hello. Hi, I'm Jen. Thanks for joining me. Chat with me. Uh, I really want to know more about this subject. It's about the sovereignty, United States, American sovereignty, national sovereignty. Um, I do have comprehension problems, so feel free to tell me what's what. It started out, I looked up the Independent American Party because I'm curious if, well, Republicans are in charge now, but what if nobody ever wants another Democrat again? Um, would they start changing to other parties like the Independent or yeah, sorry guys, the names have left me. So, different, there's one party that's, oh my gosh, is it the Independents? They really lean towards the Democrat uh, political beliefs. So they would be for the same-sex marriage, things that the majority of us are against. So, well, I don't know if you're about that, but everybody's got different things. I know that I would probably say part near 100% of you with children really don't want the things coming into your schools, the unwanted, and the going into the bathrooms and yada yada yada. So I was looking up things, I was jotting down things. So if this doesn't go in order, you're smart enough. I'm sure you'll know what the heck I'm talking about. So it directed me to the United Nations Network on Migration. Don't know what this has to do with anything, but I felt it might be important. Um, National sovereignty is a core principle of international law governing international relations, which affirms states' independence and authority to govern their domestic jurisdiction, subject to their international law obligations by virtue of customary international law and the treaties they have ratified. The GCM, which is the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration, it's based on a set of cross-cutting and interdependent guiding principles. It says this page provides resources for the guiding principle of national sovereignty. Quote, the Global Compact reaffirms the sovereign right of states to determine their national migration policy and their prerogative to govern migration within their jurisdiction in conformity with international law. Within their sovereign jurisdiction, states may distinguish between regular and irregular migration status, including as they determine their legislative and policy measures for the implementation of the Global Compact, taking into account different national realities, policies, priorities, and requirements for entry, residence, and work in accordance with international law. GCM 2018, Para 15. What is the meaning of national sovereignty? National sovereignty is generally considered the chief obstacle to the growth of an international security or society. Sovereignty means supreme power within a territorial, defined social order. Power designed to decide about its own interests, determine its own policies, administer to its administer its own affairs, and lay down its own laws. National sovereignty and individual behavior. This was by Garrett Niemeyer, um, Oglethorpe University. National sovereignty is generally considered the chief obstacle to the growth of an international society. Sovereignty means supreme power within territorial social order, or defined social order, sorry. Power designed to decide about its own interests, determine its own laws. The fact that such sovereignty is vested in numerous nations at the same time causes conflicts not only because it brings into existence conflicting group moralities. There is almost universal agreement that national sovereignty must be overcome if there is to be an international society. How is this general problem connected with individual motives, beliefs, and loyalties? Can individual attitudes affect national sovereignty? Can they change the nature of this phenomenon? National sovereignty has often been blamed on a fixation in the minds of statesmen or scholars. Actually, it can be shown that it is rooted in the daily behavior of millions of individuals who habitually rely on the sovereign power of their nation and thereby contribute materially and psychologically to its strength. In the last analysis, sovereignty springs from the functional and ideal solidarity of people living together within a certain territory. Hence, it cannot be given up by governments unless the mental and physical habits of people in general are also reconditioned. So, when I think back, um, I was going house to house, handing out flyers for a sheriff that, well, he was trying to get elected. I was campaigning for him, okay? And I was with a group of people, and this one woman kept telling me about, she started out talking about God and the Bible and stuff, but then she starts adding in there the jet lines and the chemicals coming down on us and all this other stuff. So as I was reading this, I thought, well, what if they were trying to change us so these things can whatever they want to do with them? I don't know. Like I said, I listen to everything, but I don't believe everything. But I do remember it. Just for reasons like this, it may be a nugget of information that does have credibility, but in a different setting than what that in person thought it was. So, um, she says, "You think I'm crazy?" And I said, "No, I don't understand it, but I don't think you're crazy." So even when people are saying things like that, like I've always said, be open to everything, but don't necessarily jump on the bandwagon. You don't have to take that information and necessarily do anything with it. Just keep it on a shelf or whatever, for future reference. I would rather store thoughts than physical things. Definitely not a pack rat. So, yeah, let me know if I'm understanding this to read correctly because I just I really have a comprehension problem sometimes. That said, national sovereignty. Where was? Yeah. National sovereignty has often been blamed on a fixation in the minds of statesmen or scholars. Actually, it can be shown that it is rooted in the daily behavior of millions of individuals who habitually rely on the sovereign power of their nation and thereby contribute materially and psychologically to its strength. And I'm reading this again because I want you to read it with that nugget of information I just gave you about that was that woman's nugget that she passed on to me. In the last analysis, sovereignty springs from the functional and ideal solidarity of people living together within a certain territory. Hence, it cannot be, quote, given up by governments unless the mental and physical habits of people in general are also reconditioned. So then, under that, it gives this um, partial continuation of what this man said. Every law abiding citizen is, in a sense, an agent of the public order, and hence a contributor to the sovereign power of his government. He contributes to its power by relieving the government of the need for additional policemen, clerks, judges, and jails. He contributes to its sovereignty by conforming in the exercise of this public function. The United States is a sovereign nation. Sovereignty is a simple idea. The United States is an independent nation governed by the American people that controls its own affairs. The American people adopted the Constitution and created the government. They elect their representatives and make their own laws. Um, Sovereignty itself is, of course, not subject to law, for it is the author and source of law, but in our system, while sovereign powers are delegated to the agencies of government, sovereignty itself remains with the people by whom and for whom all government exists and acts. The law is the definition and limitation of power. It is indeed quite true that there must always be lodged somewhere and in some person or body the authority of final decision and, in many cases, of mere administration. The responsibility is purely political, no appeal lying except to the ultimate tribunal of the public judgment, exercised either in the pressure of opinion or by means of the suffrage. But the fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, considered as individual possessions, are secured by these maxims of constitutional law, which are the monuments showing the victorious progress of the race in securing to men the blessings of civilization under the reign of just and equal laws, so that, in the famous language of the Massachusetts Bill of Rights, the government of the Commonwealth, quote, may be a government of laws and not of men, for the very idea that one man may be compelled to hold his life or the means of living or any material right essential to the enjoyment of life at the mere will of another seems to be intolerable in any country where freedom prevails as being the essence of slavery itself. Legal historian Christian G. Fritz says the people in America's constitutional tradition before the Civil War, that before and after the Revolution, Americans believed that the people in republic, like a king in monarchy exercised plenary authority as the sovereign. The interpretation persisted from the Revolutionary period up to the Civil War. Despite this widespread belief, the term popular sovereignty was infrequently used by the early Americans. In expressing the fundamental concept of rule by the people, they described an ideal of how the people would exercise sovereignty in the U.S., and state officers and employees would become public servants. The phrase, quote, popular sovereignty did not even become popular until the 1840s. So I don't know why I was called to read that. I don't mean called, I mean like that's not something I was thinking about. But it came to me, and so I did it. I don't know. If someone can interpret it, that would be fine with me. And yeah, I'm gonna cut this one off and get ready to start my day. You guys have a happy day. Thanks.